Okay, after you've tried a few ribbons and you've gotten good at that, we need to talk about ellipses some more. You just saw, you can see that there's a picture of those ellipses, and this is your eye level line. So an ellipse, a circle sitting on this eye level line, would just be a flat disc. You wouldn't be able to see anything. But as it moves away, it's going to get wider and wider. So what I want you to do is just kind of practice this. Okay, ellipses sort of just take a drawerly kind of practice, and it's something that just happens, you get good at it the more and more you do it. But an ellipse really close, so along the edge of your paper, we're going to just draw a few ellipses. An ellipse really close to the eye level line is going to be super shallow, okay, really tiny. Okay, as we move a little bit higher up, it's going to get a little wider, okay? And it's just the elongated kind of oval. As we move even higher, it's going to get even a little wider. They just take practice. And as we keep moving up, they're going to get fatter and fatter. So let's just practice some ellipses. You can see it's sort of like you kind of draw over them and over them until they sort of settle in to place. I'm going to keep going. Wide ellipses get pretty tricky. We're getting wider and wider. As we move up, we're going to get kind of really big-ish. Now they're never pointy like footballs on the end, but getting them the same on both sides is always kind of the trick. And even wider. And really wide up here. Okay, so we're kind of moving away, and it would do the same thing as you went below as well. So it also is true for if this is the center of your page, an ellipse right here in the middle is going to be a disc, and as they move away, it's the same thing. They're going to be skinny, and they're going to be getting fatter and fatter as they move away. So it happens that direction too. We just are going to practice that one, but I kind of want you to know that happens as we move out towards the edges. Now I want to put an ellipse right here. I want there to be a tube that connects this pyramid to my building. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, okay, this is not that far away. It's not going to be, it's like maybe going to be an ellipse sort of that size is what's going to be in here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to draw that ellipse. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. And my tube, you can see it isn't lining up perfectly. Maybe it's a bendy tube, kind of bends as it moves. Maybe you want to make it look like plumbing parts and you have like a little connector that makes it bend and goes up. It's really up to you. Now up here, I'm also going to put that other ellipse, and I'm going to say it's kind of right in the middle. It's about the same distance away. They're not very much different in size. This one might be just a smidgen wider, but I'm looking at the width. Okay, so I've got that ellipse there, and I'm going to make these two connect. Now, if this was a glass tube, I'd be able to see the backs of these ellipses. But because this is going to be a solid tube, I'm going to go ahead and it's kind of like drawing the ribbons. I'm going to go ahead and let it bend, and it's going to come up and hook in. I want to copy that curve almost exactly. It's going to bend and come back up in. And now I will erase the back edges of these ellipses and anything that's behind them, because you can't see any of that. And I erase this back edge. And that's hooking in there. I erase all of this. And I'll even erase the horizon line just so it doesn't foul us up. And I just made those two connect. It's kind of a tubby little tube there, but I like it. It'll be great. So let's say I wanted there to be, say, a tube coming out this way. Now this gets kind of crazy and fun. This is facing us, so we're going to be working with one of these up and down kind of ellipses. It's not on the flat surface like these were. We're going to be on a side surface, and this is pretty close to the middle, but we're going to it's going to be tilted not a whole lot. Like I don't know, this will be kind of an ellipse, sort of like, I'd say about like that. If this was tilted way back, like we weren't seeing the side hardly at all, then if it was closer to this vanishing point, this would be kind of a fatter or a skinnier ellipse. So we'll call that our ellipse for this. And we need to have a tube coming out of it. Now this tube is parallel to this line and this line. Oh, so we're going to use the vanishing point to help us draw our tube because it's coming out kind of towards us. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the top of the tube and the bottom of the tube. I'm just going right over my thing. That's back behind it, so I can just erase some of that ribbon. And at the front, I'm going to have the same kind of an ellipse-ish shape, but just enlarged. I'm going to try to copy that ellipse, make it bigger. And now I've got to erase the back edge of this one because we can't see it. But I can see the whole thing in this one. And now I just made a tube, and it's using perspective because it's coming towards us and it was parallel to these. So I was using it to create my lips. I could like do a cool thing and like maybe this becomes like a, I don't know, I could use some of the drawing skills I have and I could make this like be like a U-bend kind of a thing, and maybe this tube then shoots up into the air and goes another direction. We could do some cool things like that. Now this rule is also really handy. Let's say that we wanted to make a tower that came off of this building. We can do that really easily. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw another ellipse here, kind of a big one. And coming straight up. But I want to show you one interesting thing that happens. Okay, here at the top, again, another ellipse needs to happen. We won't see that whole ellipse. We're only going to see probably the front edge of that ellipse. We're going to erase the back. We're going to erase the back of this one. And we're going to erase everything behind it. Okay, so I've got this tube coming off of here, but I want it to look like a tower that's made of like bricks, like this is a castle or something. I can put right here at the top, I can just drop a line this way and a line this way, and I can make a roof. As long as I follow the rules of the ellipse. Actually, I'm doing that the wrong way. You're like, Mrs. Sigg. This is actually going to be curved upward, and I'll see that bigger ellipse in there. When it curves up because I'm looking up at it. If it was below my eye level line, it would curve down. So that's what I wanted to show you with some of your drawing skills. Right here, this point's going to be an important point. Right now, this is my eye level line. My bricks are going to look straight because remember, like, my ellipses are flat. But as I move up, they're going to start to curve this way. So, and they're going to get more and more curved as they move up. If I were to draw it's like I'm drawing half of ellipses. You could draw them all the way, but it gets really kind of confusing. And as they move below the eye level line, they're going to start to curve down. So we're following the rule of these ellipses, but we're just doing the front edges of these ellipses as we're moving around. And you would draw those bricks in kind of, you know, however you felt like you wanted to. You could decorate those and do cool things. You could put a window in here if you wanted to, as long as this followed the ellipse, that edge there. You could put a flag on top if you wanted to. Maybe there's like a little fold in the flags. So you could do some cool stuff. You can have a lot of fun with this. So that's the rule of ellipses. They're going to be really awesome for tubes. Just so you know, a few other things. If you're just drawing and you're breaking like the planes of anything parallel, like say I wanted a leaning ladder off of here, we're just going to use our drawing skills. And I'm just going to draw, and remember that as it gets closer, it's going to be a little bit further apart. But I could just, the rungs though, I would draw to the vanishing points. Okay. You can do some cool things, you know, you can draw on here, you could add whatever you want, but your basic structure needs to be this main box and alterations, and then draw into it with just your drawing skills that you have and make this super exciting. So I know you guys are going to have a ton of fun with this project. Next, you're going to be looking at color and how we fill in some of the color. I'm going to pull out my sketchbook and I'm just going to demo a few little things that maybe the videos you watched didn't cover just for a few minutes. And then you get to look at some student examples and you're going to see some really awesome stuff. You're going to be so inspired, and this project is just a ton of fun. You already know how much fun Prismacolors are, and now you're even going to use them in a more technical way. So good job with your practice. Save this practice and just maybe fold it in half, tuck it in your bag, so that maybe you're like, oh, how did I take a chunk out of a corner again? Let me look back at my drawing from earlier, and maybe it'll just help you out a little bit. Okay, good job, you guys. You have learned a lot of stuff.